Are you surprised that the demographic is so much younger? Like, Star Kid fans are generally, I guess not generally, but you have a lot of really young fans.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I kind of chalk it up to the fact that young people have the time to sit around and watch things on the internet.
It's very true.
And I think that if we had a show on television, for example, we would have a new audience. You know, I think it probably that people outside of this sort of specific demographic that we have right now would like this stuff because it's funny. Um, but it's almost the format that dictates who sees it in a way.
That's true.
They're long. That's another thing. I mean, Batman was the shortest so
Yeah.
far, and you know, it's like we're getting better at that because back in the day we were like, oh, who gives a shit? You know, no one's going to see it anyway. But now we realize that it's A, not true, and B, better to have a kind of more concise story.
Yeah.
Um,
Except for senior year, right?
well, honestly, that was part of the style where the Langs were they were like, well, let's make this one 4 hours again because it has to match the style and tone of the first two, and those are both these like 4 hour epics. So that's the it was a decision at that point where they were like, yeah, let's we got to have a long plot like that.
So, have people been coming to see you guys at Second City that like are not familiar with the other stuff? Or has it basically all been like Star Kid fans coming to the shows?
Yeah, I honestly don't know. Our fans have a habit of buying all the tickets. So
which is a good thing.
It absolutely is a good thing. But it does mean that everyone else is kind of like, what the hell is this thing? Maybe I'll go see it. Oh, just kidding. I'm not going to see it because it's sold out.
Yeah.
It's a great problem to have. Because the thing is that the solution to that would be, oh, we're not going to sell. There's no solution. There's no solution to that.
There's really not.
Because you can hold tickets aside, but to like, I don't know, not sell them on the internet or something. But people will come and buy them. Fans will come and buy them.
And be in line for hours and hours and hours, so...
Right. And then what you don't want to do is be like, oh, let's not sell these tickets in the off chance that someone will just like walk in and then you're like, oh, well, great. We've got 40 empty seats. I don't know what the solution there is to like try to get people who
to broaden the fan base.
Yeah, to sort of broaden the fan base. It's like not a huge goal. Really what we're doing is trying to make better shows every time. It's like, whatever, if the same people see them, great. Hopefully they enjoy them more and more because they're getting better. It's not really our focus. In my opinion, it shouldn't be our job to worry about that as much as our job to make the shows better each time.
I know that you went to Germany this year.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there any particular event that you've gotten to do that like really just stands out and like it's amazing, favorite thing that has happened being a Star Kid?
Germany was wild because we were there with like the coolest. It was like we were there with some of the cast of the Lord of the Rings. I know that everyone's a Harry Potter fan, but I'm a Lord of the Rings guy. That was what I grew up reading. I mean, I read Harry Potter when I was a kid too, but I wasn't into it nearly as much as Lord of the Rings because I don't know. Because I'm like a purist, No, but the point is that was just what I was like totally obsessed with when I was a kid. So hanging out with Sean Astin, we sat around and read The Hobbit with Sean Astin, and he would do the voice. It sounded like Samwise Gamgee was like reading The Hobbit to you, and it was like, oh my god, what is going on right now? We got to hang out with some of the cast from the Game of Thrones, and that was it was just kind of like surreal. I think that they were all a little bit confused as to who the hell we were, but in that situation, you don't want to sit there and be like apologetic for existing. You want to sit there and say, "Hey, you're awesome. Let's get a beer." Blah blah blah. You know, it's like you want to take advantage of your situation. I don't know. I liked drinking beer with Khal Drogo. That was one of my favorite things. The ring con was pretty wild because we got to be there as Star Kid and also as fans. And yeah, you know, it's like I think maybe some of the people watching will understand what it's like to be super geeked out about something, and I certainly was. I was there. Oh yeah, no, yeah. My other thing was I saw the Book of Mormon and I met Trey Parker there.
Yeah, I
But
heard
it wasn't
about
a
that. I
Stargate
wanted
thing.
to ask you this. How did that happen?
Luck and Corey Lubowich. We were in New York to see Darren in How to Succeed in Business, and Dylan and I were just hanging out, and we were like, "Oh, let's go around the corner and see if we can get tickets at the lottery for the Book of Mormon." And we showed up as they were doing the lottery, and we were like, "Oh, we're stupid. Okay, well, that's what we deserve. Nothing, because we're idiots." And so we were walking away, and we hear, "Hey, guys!" And we look, and Corey Lubowich is standing in the standing room ticket line. And he's kind of close to the front. And we didn't even know that Corey had gotten into town yet. And we were like, "Corey, what are you doing here?" And he said, "Oh, I got in this morning, and I came straight here to this line." And we were like, "Oh, my God. That's awesome." And he said, "Yeah, you know, they sell 2 tickets to everybody." And he was with some friends. And he said, "They sell up to 2 tickets to each person standing in line, so we might be able to get you some tickets." And we begged. That was it. We begged. We begged shamelessly. Shamelessly. And I remember Dylan and I really having sort of a moral conundrum because we knew that if we took those tickets, probably down the line there would be people who, just not probably, there would be people down the line who did not get in. And we just took it. And we got in. And it was just lucky for us and unlucky for someone else. It's a jungle out there.
And Trey Parker and Matt Stone were just there.
Not Matt Stone. So we were standing in the back, and it was like a dream come true. You know, I'm sitting there going, "I love it so much." But I turn around, and there's this guy standing in the back, totally kind of in this like old trench coat, kind of creepy, honestly. Big bushy beard, just like he looked not really comfortable or happy to be there, like and like kind of like a crazy person. But it was Trey Parker, and I looked right, and I was just like, "What the hell? That's Trey Parker." And I like went, knocked in, and I was like, "Trey Parker's standing right behind us." And he turned around, and it was almost like he was in disguise, but I think he was just there and hadn't, slept in a couple months or shaved. So I went up and I shook his hand. I had to, because
absolutely.
You have to do that. And the thing was that, it was a sold out crowd, obviously.
Yeah.
And after the show, everyone's walking by him. He was just standing there. And it was like nobody knew that this was the guy who was responsible for everything good in the universe. And so I was just like shocked. And I went up and I was like, "Hi, Mr. Parker. Thank you for everything you do." I actually I was going through my mind. I was like, what do I like to hear from fans that I meet? And so I tried to keep it nice and just like, "I really love your work. I think you've done a good job. Keep doing it, please. Thank you for existing." I think that's the nicest thing anyone can say. You just got, and he was like, "Oh, thanks. Okay. Have a good night." And I was like, I was shaking. Now I know what that's like too.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Well,
so anyway, that was fun.
And that show was
Yeah,
great.
something amazing for sure. Something incredible.